Well, hello everyone and welcome to another episode here in the series on the MIgardener channel, How to Grow in Containers. Today's episode is going to be on carrots. That's right, carrots. They are a very fun one to grow, extremely rewarding if you can do it correctly, and I cannot tell you how many people comment asking us to do a growing guide in containers on carrots. So here we go, we're jumping right on and into this one. So we're going to talk about the container size. We're going to talk about the type of carrots that I suggest growing. We're also going to talk about watering and fertilizing and sunlight. So there's a lot to cover. So we better jump on into this now. Here's what you can expect. These are beautiful Scarlet Nance carrots. They have been growing here for about 45 days now. We sowed them indoors and then moved them outdoors. So they got a little bit of a jump start. But by all means, if you want to start carrots, you're not too late at all. I just knew that I wanted to do this series, so I planned ahead and had some growing. I take extra steps to make sure that that I have some beautiful props for you all to look at. So that's how many months ago I had to actually plan for this episode. So hopefully you enjoy it. Give me a thumbs up for that, by the way. So let's go over to the potting up station and we'll talk about pot and soil. All right, so first let's talk about the pot size. Now you're probably going to call me crazy when I tell you what size pot I use for my carrots in containers. I use something that is wider than it is tall. And the reason is because for containers, I like to grow a variety of carrot called Scarlet Nance or Scarlet Nantes. And it is, it's a very short carrot. They do not grow very long. They're stubby. You can also grow something called Parisian or Danvers half long. Great varieties for containers. I would suggest those three above all the other varieties, because what's going to happen if you grow a long variety, they're going to go straight down, they're going to hit the bottom of the pot, and they're going to do one of these. They're going to be poking all around, and you're going to get really kind of ugly carrots. You can still eat them, they still will taste like a carrot, but if you want the nice perfect carrots, those three varieties are going to do that for you. So this size container is about a 1.5 gallon container. It is something that you just can get from a nursery. A lot of times they'll throw these out at the end of the season, so you can ask them if they have any containers, and a lot of times you can even find them on the side of the road. So don't go and spend a ton of money on these containers. You can buy pots if you want, but a lot of times I'll use these because they're very durable. They'll last for many seasons, and they're free. So let's fill it up with soil now. The soil type that we're using is a very well-draining potting mix. I use a potting specific mix for all of my plants, and the reason is because potting mix is so important, because in the garden you have worms, you have beneficial fungi and microbes that help to keep the soil very loose. However, in a pot you can't replicate that as much. It's very difficult to replicate a garden in such a small confined space and really expect great results. So by starting with a potting specific mix or by making one of your own, you're going to have far better results. And one thing you can do is, if you can't find a potting mix, what I like to use is 1 part perlite, 1 part vermiculite, and 1 part compost. You can even add some sand in there if you want as well. I find it's kind of unnecessary because the compost combined with the perlite and vermiculite holds on to just the right amount of moisture, but lets it drain freely, and it's really loose. Ideally, what you want, regardless of what you go with, is something that can be packed together into a ball, but as soon as you basically touch it, it's just gonna basically self-destruct and fall apart. Now what we wanna do is we wanna fill the pot for starting from seed. You wanna always start from seed with carrots. Don't start with anything from a greenhouse. Seeds, especially root crops, do not transplant well. So carrots started from seed into containers just does not work. Like the little 4-cell packs, I see them all the time, and I wonder why they're still selling them, because gardeners that are new to gardening will buy it thinking it's an easy route, but they're never going to get the success. They just won't. They do not transplant well, and I'm just being honest there. You're going to have far better success starting from seed. And I know starting from seed is scary, but as a gardener, you got to do it. There's some things in life that are just scary. You just got to do it, and you'll realize what were you scared of in the first place. So we're going to, again, put this almost right up to the top because we're going to need all that soil. And what we're going to do is we are going to sow seeds about every 2 inches. And then as they come up, when the seeds sprout, you're going to thin them to about every 4 inches. So in a pot size of this size, you're going to have maybe, I'd say, 6 to 7 carrots in here. So you're not going to get a lot of carrots, but again, you're growing in containers. So what are you really going to expect? You can make the container size larger and get more carrots, but I like to make sure that I'm growing lots of food in a small space, and so I prefer small pots and just grow a ton of different things. So I'm just putting 2 to 3 seeds in every hole here, and then I'm just going to go back and thin them once they sprout, and that is really all you need to do. Now the next thing we're going to do is just water them in, and they're ready to go. So let's do that now, and then we'll go talk about the sunlight requirements and fertilizing and watering. So now let's talk about fertilizing the carrots. When it comes time to fertilizing, I like to fertilize my carrots once every month because of the fact that they will take about 60 to 65 days to mature depending on your growing conditions and the variety of carrot that you're growing. So that's about 2 months worth of growing time. And so by once a month, you're only really going to fertilize twice. And that's going to ensure that the plants are growing well, the carrots are maturing properly. And what I like to stress is an all-purpose fertilizer. A lot of people will disagree with me on this and they'll say, oh, you got to add a lot of phosphorus. Phosphorus is great for the roots. However, if you're completely ignoring nitrogen, nitrogen is a very key component in leaf growth. And the only thing that's going to make the carrots larger is the leaves. I don't care what you say, I don't care how much phosphorus you put in the soil, you're never going to have larger carrots if you don't have the nitrogen to make bigger leaves to produce more energy for the plant. And so what I use is Trifecta Plus because it's an all-purpose fertilizer for all your plants, and it's a very easy once and done kind of just forget about it type fertilizer. Then the next thing I want to talk about is watering. When you water your pots, you need to remember that they are containers and they are small, okay? They're not going to hold water like a raised bed will. So if you go on vacation for a week, don't expect to have your plants look all happy and welcome you at the door. They're going to be very sad because of the fact that you have 1.5 gallons of growable medium here, and you're really getting the most out of your square footage, but with that comes the need to water a little more frequently. I'll water these plants especially because it's black. It absorbs a lot of heat and it's going to evaporate faster. Something like a tan pot. Some of our tan pots, they don't need watering nearly as much, but still you're going to find you're watering maybe 2 to 3 times a week, but it's not that much water either, which I know is a problem in cities. It's very expensive. Water is extremely expensive in cities, and so by going with a smaller pot, you're going to need less water, but you're just going to have to water more often. So, it's give and take with everything. You cannot always win. So that's watering. Now let's talk about sunlight. With carrots, you want to give them full sun. As much sun as you can give them, give it to them. Because carrots, like I said, they use all the energy in the leaves to produce larger carrots. So I'll give my carrots between 7 and 10 hours of full sun. If you can't give them 7 and 10 hours, at least give them 5 hours. 5 hours of full sun is going to ensure you're going to have nice, beautiful carrots, and they're going to do very well for you in that, and they're not going to have a single problem at all. And they're very easy to maintain. You really just have to thin once you start from seed, and the rest will really just grow itself. So try some carrots, and I think you'll love them as well. So there you go. It is that simple to grow carrots in containers. I seriously hope you were not overcomplicating it or afraid of something, because the worst that you can do is have a failure and you learn from that failure and you will hopefully grow better the next year. But again, these are really simple tips to getting your garden off to a successful start. And once you start successfully, you will typically always end successfully. It's usually those mistakes you make in the beginning that affect you long term. So hopefully this helps. And let me know in the comments box below if you're growing carrots in containers, or also let me know what you're growing in containers. And also let me know if this inspired you to try carrots in containers. I know it's not something that typically people want to try. They're afraid of getting bent carrots. And all I can say is, well, what's the worst that can happen? The carrot's bent and it's going to taste like a carrot. No one's going to say this tastes like a bent carrot, because bent carrots don't have a flavor. So it's just aesthetics. And as a society, screw aesthetics. They are something that is so old school, and a carrot is a carrot. It's going to have the same nutrients as a straight carrot, and you know what? It's going to taste just fine. So I hope you all enjoyed. Hopefully you all are growing bigger going home. Hopefully you learned something new, and I will talk to you all later. This is Luke from the MIgardener channel. See ya.